Okay, I'm back. Um, like I was saying, this video is in response to the people who have debunked um, the well-researched information by Mr. Arthur Ketzler, and he himself was an Ashkenazi Jew, and he's merely given the history of his people. That they are not the bloodline Israelites. Pardon me. They are not the bloodline Israelites. And so let's begin on this. I think I've got this. Let's start in this book called Byzantium. See these? You see the picture of the Japhethites, the sons of Japheth. Now we know that the Israelites and the sons of Ham, the sons of Shem and the sons of Ham resembled each other in look, but not in culture and religion. Just like you'd have French and English, they're both white people, but they're not the same people. They have their own country, their own customs, and such. So, after the Tower of Babel, we had this split. All of these different nations were formed and languages, and they all went off into their areas of where they live now. Some migrated, like the Khazars, but this is, as you can see, these are the sons of Japheth. And in this book, the Byzantine Empire. Oh my! I thought I had. Thought that I had. Let me look it up in the. See, Khazaria is what I'm looking for in here. Go away! Quit scratching my table. Khazars, page 163 of this book, Byzantium, by Time Life Books. This is an older book. It was published around, I can't see it because I don't have my glasses on. Let me get a pair of glasses. Hold on just a minute. Okay, this book was published in 1966 by Time Incorporated, New York. And on page, I think, 163, it explains that I'm going to try to get up here where you can see it. I usually work with two cameras, but tonight I'm working with the one. Let's see. I'm sorry that this is not going to be a very good video, but where it says Khazars. See. Wow, this is hard. Westward. I'm reading it backwards. Okay, it says, two Byzantine emperors. I think you can see that. Two Byzantine emperors had in fact married princesses of one of the Turkish tribes, the cultivated Khazars, who had converted to Judaism after their migration to the area north of the Black Sea. So here you have it. All right, and that's on page 163. So that is number one. Let me throw this book over here. I'm not going to use it anymore. But and we also know from Scripture that the Israelites looked very much like the Egyptians. And I got this book. Man, I don't know where I got this book. It was McKay Books in Knoxville. But so here's a picture of the Egyptians. And many of you have seen that. Pictures like this that prove that the Egyptians were a black and nappy-headed people. See? Now this book is called Daily Life in Ancient Egypt. I hope you can see that. I couldn't hold it still. But it was published in, let me see. When was it published? Published by American Heritage Publishing Company, Inc., New York. Book Trade Division by McGraw-Hill Book Company. Copyrighted at 1975. I was in high school. So we know that black people come in many different shades. You know, I've got many different shades of black people in my own family. Some very dark, some darker than me, some medium skin, some honey colored, and some almost white. So these are the Egyptians. See that afro, don't you, and that dark hair? And the African features. Because Egypt, in Genesis, I think it is Genesis 10, is where the Table of Nations is. There we have some Egyptians that are kind of a medium honey colored. See, we come in all different colors. There's no such thing as olive skinned. Olives come in green and black. And I have seen some kind of a darkish color olive that's not black, but kind of a brownish color. But I haven't seen any green people. I have seen black people and brown people, but I have not seen any green people. So this olive thing, you know, olive skinned, look at that. Look there. They were doing weave way before us. Or that could have been their own hair. I mean, my natural hair comes down to my hips. So it doesn't necessarily have to be weave. Okay, so we've established what the Egyptians look like. And then, you know, in this book, Byzantium, it talks about how the Byzantine Empire conquered. They went down and did conquests in Egypt. And historically, when they do a conquest, they murder the men and the boys, and and then they capture the women and rape and pillage, and then they move into the area. So it only takes 3 generations for one family to go from one look to another look, and we have more of a mulatto kind of people in Egypt and in Arabia and whatnot. But the thing of it is they still have the bloodline. And then when you go further into Africa, into Egypt, the original people who were not conquested look more like me, you know. So oh, here's another book that I got, and this book was written by the Ashkenazis, the Ashkenazi Jews, and it's called A Pictorial History of the Jewish People. Let me get that one. I'm hard on book covers. I usually take them off, but I left that one. I don't like that star. I may still get rid of it, but the star's in the book. But it says it's A Pictorial History of the Jewish People by Nathan Ausubel, illustrated with 1,000 pictures. A treasury of Jewish folklore. He wrote that book. He's the author of Treasury of Jewish Folklore. So, like the book says, it has 1,000 pictures, and we know from the book of Maccabees, first Maccabees, when the first book of Maccabees, when the Greeks tried to destroy our people and to make us to convert to their way of life and to leave the Torah and to leave the Most High and to accept their gods and their way of life and their gymnasiums. You know, back then they competed butt naked in the gymnasium. That's how they could tell whether a Hebrew male had been circumcised or not, because they were naked and they could tell. So a lot of them tried to undo their circumcisions. That must have hurt. But anyway, we're going to concentrate on what they're saying. You know, back during the book of in the book of Maccabees, during the Feast of Dedication, they actually had to go into our holy book, into our Torah, and remove the pictures that the Greeks had inserted into our holy manuscript. They had inserted pictures of themselves into our holy manuscript. And so if you look at most Bibles today, that's exactly what's going on. Unless you find a specialized Bible, the regular common Bibles that you find, people who have no ancestral tie to our people have inserted their pictures into our holy manuscript, because we know that the script was written to us. We were supposed to learn, and then we were supposed to teach the nations, but we failed, and now there's all sorts of false teaching going on. So anyway, let's look into this book. I really didn't want this to be very long. So here I am again. I'm gonna try to stand up so you can see these pictures, because I'm not working with now this book basically, it tells a lot about the Ashkenazim, and then it mixes Ashkenazi history with our biblical history, the history of the Hebrews. But they cannot hide everything. They can't hide everything. Because if you go back to the reliefs and the statuary And in ancient art, you can see there we are. Okay. Here, look at this. Now these people, long, it's got braided hair, kind of kinky braided hair, and a kinky beard. But look at the skin. Look at the skin. Look at that afro. It's a light skinned brother. All right. Now, I hope I can put this where you can read it for yourself. Right here, it says similarity. It says similarity of Israelites and Canaanites to Israelite warriors. First temple and Canaanite warrior. So see, here's the two Israelites and here's the Canaanite. So these people here don't resemble the people who are oh my, they don't really resemble these people. See, they don't. Why is that? Because they don't have ancestors. Now this little boy might, but these people here are converts. They're Jewish by way of conversion. And I'll hope to explain why they feel so strongly that they are the actual people of the book. But see, read it yourself. Similarity to Israelites and Canaanites. To Israelite warriors and a Canaanite warrior. And you can see the African features, kind of like an African features. Okay, and if you will look at, I apologize for not having my other camera, but see the long scraggly beard and the little short afro? See the afros? Big, look at that. His nose looks like mine. Lips. They do not, these Israelites do not resemble the people that put out the book. They're telling their story. They're telling our story. They're telling our story. But they're using their likeness, except for in cases where they cannot. Let's see. It's the Dead Sea. Oh. Okay. Maybe I'll be able to do a better. I don't want to turn the, let me take this off. I don't want to turn the camera off, but I do want you to see the pictures. Look at this one. Look at the hair. I don't think I can get closer. You can see it. No resemblance to the people. Look at the braided. Okay, right here. These are the Egyptians in prayer. Now, these Egyptians who are in prayer, see that? Why do they keep putting that in there is because Scripture will not hide that we are the people of the book. I'm going to put this, I know it's going to be kind of crazy, but I really want you to see this picture. See the braids? See the dark African features? It says, Egyptian priest presenting an official and his son to the god. That's in the Metropolitan Museum. And what they're trying to prove is that the Israelite and the Egyptian are very close in resemblance. Now when you see this, you see all this curly hair and stuff. That is not us. These pictures came much later. They came much later, and they were put in by the people who are claiming our ancestry. See, they're starting to put their images in, but they're drawing them, making different reliefs from their artists and sculptors. Okay, look at this one. See the afro? And see if I can move in a little more. Poofy hair. Look at these braids. And let me see what it says. A priest and worshiper before the sun god Shamash. Sealed from the reign of Ur-Engur, 2300 BCE. They don't say before Christ. They say before the Common Era. And then it goes on to talk about Abraham discovers the one God, and that can be found in the book of Jasher, the complete story. But Abraham was in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia was filled, it was populated by by the sons of Ham. So yeah, let me see. And here you can see where they've put their pictures in. So we won't even bother with that. Alright, we're not going to look at all 1,000 pictures. See, they've put their pictures in. Jacob is carried home. Now look at this. This is their depiction of Jacob being carried home when he died, and he said, take my bones with you when you leave this place. More of their pictures in our story of the Exodus when they weren't even in the country at that time. So I'm not trying to be racial. I'm basically trying to okay, this proves when I was telling you that, okay, Babylon. What was the name of Babylon before the Tower of Babel incident? It was Shinar, Shinar. So this says the Babylonian hero and strongman Gilgamesh. Babylonian. What do you see? Big old poofy, nappy hair and a braided beard or dreadlock beard. Okay? So that just goes to prove that, Dr. Rudolph Windsor in his book From Babylon to Timbuktu proves that those people were the sons of Ham. Babylon and Mesopotamia was a black civilization. That's more of their pictures that they've intermingled with ours in the telling of their story. But you can see, if you look at this fairly close, I don't know, you can see the braids. These are braids, afros, the big noses, the afros. But so we need to restore the truth is all. We just need to restore the truth. Egyptian girl, musician. See her braids? She's either got dreads or braids. And they're doing this in the telling of our story to prove that the Israelites and the Egyptians resembled one another. Well, how did they change? Look at that. So Arthur Ketzler was not wrong in the telling of this story. Look at that, those afros. See that? Got it tied down a little bit. Jeroboam, they're discussing Jeroboam. He was the king of the 10 tribes. Rehoboam was the king of Judah and Benjamin. Okay, I've got my bookmarks are falling out. I really hope that you can see what I'm saying, because so many people are trying to, when I make these posts, and the posts are not for everybody. The posts are to wake up Israel. You know, now there's some of their pictures they put in. Okay, here you go. He's an officer in the palace. Now, I'm not sure you can see, but I'm going to put it close. See all those naps? Nappy hair? The destruction of the first temple. Probably won't get to show all of these, and then, okay, here's their picture of themselves that they've inserted into our history. But they could not deny this one. Now, when I see it, it's closer. You can see, if you were looking at the picture in person, you could see the indentations of the braids. I'm not sure I can get it that close. I don't really have a good enough camera. But you can see in person the braids. It's all braided hair or dreadlocks. Here is a picture, and it says, for the next period during which Manasseh and his son Ammon were kings, Judah lay supine and inert under Assyrian overlordship. But during the reign of Josiah, an astonishing thing happened. I just really wish that I had a better camera, because the hair, you see the babies, look at all these afros. So yeah, this is scenes from the siege of Lachish. Left, inhabitants being carried into captivity. Note at right of picture an Assyrian guard with 2 captives. Below, Sennacherib accepts the surrender. Now these pictures, I really wish, let me see if I can get it closer, that you can see. Now you're beginning to see just a little bit of the braided hair. And I'm gonna try to turn this one just a little bit. Oh my, there. This is the scenes of the captivity. All of those afros and braids. Here, in their telling of our story, they managed to put one of our pictures in. See those afros? And it is Ezekiel's vision of the resurrection. Frescoes in the Dura Europus synagogue in Syria. It's from a fresco in Syria. And then they go back to putting their own pictures in. Now there's hundreds of these pictures. And then they go to talk about the Jewish kingdom of Khazar. I'd like to read that. This is not a very good get off my chair. Thank you. Video. Hopefully, if I get a lot of bad flack over not being able to see the pictures, maybe I'll be able to do it again in a better way. I'm gonna have to get a camera that'll do it though. The Jewish Kingdom of Khazar, page 129 of the pictorial history of the Jewish people. And I showed you where they put their pictures alongside ours, but they don't mention us at all. And there's a reason for that. Okay, I'm going to try to read this. Of all the astonishing experiences of the widely dispersed Jewish people, none was more extraordinary than that concerning the Khazars. The Khazars during the Byzantine era were an aggregation of warlike tribes who, it is conjectured, must have sprung from Hun or Turkish stock. They occupied a vast stretch of territory sprawling north of the Caucasus and including the entire Volga region. This area was called the Kingdom of Khazar. Its geographic position, strategically poised between Persia and Byzantium, gave it a great commercial and military importance. The Byzantine emperors respected its fighting power and eagerly sought a military alliance with it against the Sassanid kings of Persia. With time, the Khazars succeeded in establishing themselves firmly in the Crimea. They began an aggressive war against the Slavonian tribes inhabiting the lands to the west. Finally, they subjugated the Russian boyars, I think it says boyars or hoyars, of the Principality of Kiev, reduced them to vassalage, and forced them to pay annual tribute. With dramatic suddenness, the Khazars entered the orbit of Jewish life. One of their Khagans, that means king, called Bulan, was converted to Judaism about the year of 740 CE, and with him went the Khazar tribes. There was a tradition believed by the Khazars themselves that Bulan decided to become a Jew after he had listened to a disputation participated in by an Arab mullah, a Christian priest, and a rabbi on the relative merits of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. A later Khagan, Obadiah, who wanted to establish the Jewish faith on firmer doctrinal foundations, imported rabbis and Talmudic scholars from either Babylonia or the Crimea. These founded synagogues and religious schools where they taught the Torah to the Khazar people. The noted Arab geographer and traveler Ibn Khordadbeh wrote circa 850 concerning the unusual linguistic abilities of the Jewish merchants of Khazaria, that they speak Persian, Romanian, Arabic, Frankish, Spanish, and Slavonic, and they had traveled from the west to east and from the east to west, sometimes by land, sometimes by sea. The great overland trade route from Persia led over the mountains of the Caucasus through the country of the Slavs, near the capital of the Khazars. The probability is that many of the oppressed Jews in Europe, when they heard the well-nigh incredible story of the Khazaria as a great and independent Jewish kingdom, decided to go there, but the Khazars left behind them hardly any physical evidence of their history and culture. Now let me put in my theory here. The Jews in Europe heard about the Khazar Jews in Khazaria, and they went looking for them, and they did not find a trace of them. And the reason that they did not is because they went looking for themselves. They had moved, and over however many years they'd been taught all this stuff about how they were the true Israelites, just like we had been taught that we were nothing. And they forgot, and they actually thought that they were from Israel, and they didn't know their history until they found out, and then they went looking for the Khazars, but they were the people that actually had left. That's why they didn't find any trace of them, because they were those people. Practically all the little that is known about the Khazars is derived from Arabic sources. The indefatigable traveler Ibn Masudi gave the following report in 954. The population of the Khazar capital consists of Muslims, Christians, Jews, and pagans. The king, his court, and all members of the Khazar tribe profess the Jewish religion, which has been the dominant faith of the country since the time of the Caliph Harun al-Rashid. Many Jews who settled among the Khazars came from all the cities of the Muslims and the lands of Byzantium, the reason being that the king of Byzantium persecuted the Jews of his empire in order to force them to adapt Christianity. So, let me see. It was about Ibn Masudi's time that the power of this unique Jewish kingdom began showing signs of crumbling. This fact is revealed in the strange correspondence between the Khagan Joseph and the last Jewish king of Khazaria, and Hazari ibn Shafrut, the celebrated Jewish vizier to the Caliph in southern Spain. In this letter, Joseph informed his fellow Jew in Spain, "I live at the mouth of the river Volga, and with the help of the Almighty I guard its entrance and prevent the Russians who arrive in vessels from passing into the Caspian Sea for the purpose of making their way to the Ishmaelites, the Arabs. In the same manner, I keep these enemies on land from approaching the gates of the Bab al-Abwa. Because of this, I am at war with them, and were I to let them pass but once, they would destroy the whole land of the Ishmaelites as far as Baghdad." Apparently, nothing the Jews of Khazaria did was sufficient to restrain the emerging power of the Russians. Only several years after the Khagan Joseph had written this letter, the Russian princess succeeded in overrunning Ityil, the Khazar capital on the Volga. So, they went looking for the Khazars. They went looking, and they did not find them, and the reason they didn't find them is because they didn't look in the mirror. So, I want to this has already gone on for over 40 minutes, but I really wanted to give my theory based on scripture as to why all this has happened. We remember in, let me get my book here. Got books spread out everywhere. My thesaurus there. I'm going to turn to the book of Genesis, Bereshit, and I want to get to the part of our family history where Noah gets drunk. And okay, I'm going to start at chapter 9. It says, And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air. So I'm going to skip down to, okay, Genesis 10, chapter 9. Verse 18. Genesis chapter 9, verse 18. I'm going to start there. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, and Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. Now a husbandman was a farmer, one who works with, he was a farmer. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his 2 brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders, and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan. Notice he did not say, Cursed be all of the children of Ham. He said, Cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Canaan shall be the servant of Shem. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. So I read to the end of Genesis chapter 9. Okay, I want to look at this word enlarge, where he says, for the Most High says, where Noah says, God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Okay, let's look at this word enlarge. I looked it in the Strong's concordance of the Bible, and let's see if I can find everything. Okay, on page 315, where it says enlarge, it's the very first entry there under the word enlarge is, it says, God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dot 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 dot. Genesis 9:27, and then the word enlarge is listed as number 6601 in the Hebrew and Chaldean dictionary. So I hope I've got it. Oh yeah, here it is. I was hoping I put a marker there, and I did. Okay, we're going to go to 6601 and read what the Hebrew word for this word enlarge is, what it means. So I come down here to 6601, and the Hebrew word is patha, a primitive root, and it means to open, that is, to make roomy, usually figuratively, in a mental or moral sense, to be made simple, or in a sinister way, to delude, to allure, to entice, to flatter, persuade, the silly one. Okay, so with that in mind, we would think that it causes us to know that Noah is saying, may the Most High entice or persuade So if you say, let me put my bookmark back. And go back to Genesis 9, and if you say, God shall persuade Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So now, let's look at the word dwell. Got too many books here. We're going to look at the word dwell in the Strong's Concordance. Dwell, dwell, dwell. Oh man. There's a lot of entries for the word dwell. I'm on page 294. Like I said, of the Strong's Concordance. Exhaustive concordance of the Bible. Dun, dun, dun. But, yeah, so let's find the entry for Genesis 9:27. And it says, he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. And so for the Hebrew word, we would look at number 7931. So let me find that one and see what it says. Number 7931. Big book. I'm running out of lap room. 7931. Oh. Okay. The Hebrew word for the dwell in Genesis 9:27 is shacham, to incline the shoulder to a burden, but used only as a denominative form. To load up on the back of a man, to start early in the morning, to arise, be up, get oneself up, rise up early in the morning. No, that can't be it. It was 7931 Shakan. Let me move this over so I can put this book down. It's pretty heavy. Oh, man. Oh, that's better. Okay, 7931. The Hebrew word for dwell in the Genesis 9:27. Is that 27? It says through the idea of lodging, to reside or permanently stay, to abide, continue, to cause to or make to dwell, have habitation, inhabit, lay, place, cause, remain, rest, set up. So, it says God will persuade Japheth to set up in the tents of Shem. And so that's what's happening. We see that the Japhethites, the Khazars, have been persuaded to set up in the tents of Shem in Israel because they actually believe that they are us, and they don't believe that they converted, that their family history links them more closely to the Turks and the Huns than they do to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So they are enticed, persuaded to live in our homeland. Now, there is a prophecy. I view it as a prophecy, and I believe it's in the book of Matthew, where the Yeshaya is teaching, and he tells the people that when you go to a wedding banquet, don't sit in the best room. It's better to sit in a lower room and to be called up by the governor of the feast than it is to go into the higher, more prestigious rooms, and then someone more of a higher authority or station in life will come through, and then the governor will ask you to leave that room and go to the lower room, and then so that this person can come and take their rightful place, and then you'll leave in shame. And that's a heavy book. So I think that's in the Sermon on the Mount, but I'm not sure. To me, I view that as a prophecy of sorts, that when we get into the Olam Abad, into the world to come, that those who have taken the prestigious place of calling Israel to be their own homeland, and that they are the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they say that they are Jews but are not. They do lie. They're proselytes. They are converts. And they really don't get it because of the prophecy of Noah, when Father Noah says the Most High will enlarge or persuade Japheth, and they will dwell in the tents of Shem. So they've been persuaded over all of these years that they are the people of the book. So Israel, they are converts. They're Jewish by way of being converts, but there's a lot that the Most High is going to have to straighten out when He comes. I believe that's it. I do believe that's it. So we are the stone. All right. Let me end in prayer. Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu, our God and God of our fathers. Thank you for hearing my prayer. I come to you asking you to forgive me of sins that I committed without even knowing that I committed them. I ask you to write your name, your words into my heart every time I read your scriptures, and give me just a love of everything that has to do with you. Increase my faith. Bless me and others who are out there who will see this video, and help us to work in tandem with the Ruach HaKodesh, to pray for people to be healed, to pray for people to be delivered, to pray and to have people's eyes open to where they can see the glorious gospel of the HaMashiach. Father, really, please bring in Israel by droves. Scripture says that when Israel left in the Exodus, they left Egypt, they left with a mixed multitude, people who were not even Israelites, but they said they saw your glory, they saw your wondrous works, and they said, I want to be a part of that. So Most High, please bless your people in this hour. There's so many storms coming. There's so many fires coming. There's so many threats against our land, against the United States of America, and all these wars and things. Father, please help us to get ready and stay ready. And please let us entice others to come along on this journey into the third day. Please keep us from the hour of testing. HaMashiach told us to pray that we will not be tested. We love you. We adore you. We look forward to you. Please let us do your will here on earth the same way it's done in heaven. Now unto him who is able to keep us from falling and present us faultless before the throne with exceeding joy, to the only wise God, our Father, be glory, majesty, dominion, and power. Amen. Shalom.